The time's ever gonna not be foul.
Geralt of Rivia.
Ha! Sit with us, Witcher.
Found your message on a notice board.
You see, Palmerin? I told you. The griffin at White Orchard. I knew that were we only to follow the tracks of its slayer, we would in the end find Geralt.
Milton de Peyrac Peyrin and Palmerin de Longfall. Good to see you both. Been years.
Be assured, we share your joy.
You must forgive us our, surroundings. When we pledged to place the village under our protection, the village elder gave us this hut as our lodgings. He swore it is the best hut in the village.
Get involved in some squabble?
We discovered that in retreating, the Redanian garrison had left this land's tillers at the mercy of numerous plagues. A tyranny of bandits, the most onerous among them. These plunderers shall soon descend on this village to collect tribute. Milton and I will dissuade them.
We are both sworn to fight injustice and oppression wherever they rear their heads. The matter does not concern you, of course, but do us the kindness of waiting. Once we have dealt with these marauders, we have a matter we must present to you.
No point fighting bandits. Kill these and others just as bad or possibly worse will come in to fill the void.
To cast a blind eye upon the evil. There is no honor in it.
Can't stay here to protect these folk from the dangers that come their way daily. Saw what I saw. Heard them urge you to leave these raiders alone. Must have good reason to do that.
Do you suggest that should we help, we assume responsibility for their fate? For their lives? This burden we cannot agree to bear.
Geralt speaks wisely. We know neither this land, nor its peoples, nor its customs. And we have come with another duty altogether.
How I long to return to Toussaint, where all is simpler.
Soon, my friend, soon. First, let us convey our missive to Geralt in the manner tradition ordains.
Peasants will be fine, Palmerin. Been dealing with bandits for generations.
Your words do little to assuage my sense of morality bruised.
So fess up. What brings you such a long way?
We are to deliver Her Grace the Duchess's message in full, with all due ceremony. For tradition
Is sacred in Toussaint. All right, fine.
Most honorable Geralt, slayer of monsters and all evils nefarious, which prey on the defenseless of this world. Whereas never have you been known to deny help to the innocent, nor leave widows and orphans to fates undeserved. Answer you now our present summons. Free us from the beast which floods our streets with blood, and sows panic in the hearts of rich and poor alike. Come to our aid, Witcher. Thus humbly beseeches you the Star-Crossed City's most gracious protectress, Her Illustrious Highness, Duchess Anna Henrietta.
Shall you answer her call?
Anna Henrietta really say all that? Word for word?
Well, in point of fact, she said, "Bring me the Witcher and dare not spare your horses. Only make certain this time he comes alone." The Ducal Chamberlain added the rest. You know how it is.
Yeah, I remember.
I might add, be it unofficially, that a hefty reward awaits. Yet the specifics you will need to verify with Her Illustrious Highness.
Might be the most fervent request that I take a contract ever. And the most polite. And now we've got all that behind us. I want to hear more about this beast. Some kind of monster? Just guessing.
Most assuredly, though no one has caught a good look at it as yet. Our only sure witnesses, the bodies massacred in a brutal, horrid manner.
Look, some sketches drafted from descriptions given by those who claim they glimpsed the beast. Each quite different. To my mind, these witnesses lie.
How many victims so far?
2. When Her Grace learnt of the second, she discharged us immediately to fetch you, promising grants of land and fortunes in gold, should you answer her summons.
An ill wind blows, Geralt. The beast cannot be tracked. Folks say it wields black magic. Also, both victims were nobly born, and the start of a tourney draws near.
Mentioned a tourney. Why doesn't the Duchess just call it off?
Simply, it is too late. The guests have arrived. The best knights of all lands, relatives of the Emperor. The beast could be a threat to others, not just to Her Grace's subjects.
Got it. Before an aristocrat dies, at best it's a scandal. At worst, a diplomatic incident. Anyone tried to hunt it? Knights errant, for example?
Ha! Many have tried. Baiting, waiting in ambush, but to no avail.
The beast is clever. It evades all traps and attacks of a sudden. It is like a ghost.
An experienced tracker. This is what we need, with knowledge of monsters. In short, we need you.
Beast wields black magic? What makes you say so?
The first victim vanished between bites at a feast. Of the feast-goers, none noticed this. They saw but an open window, then heard desperate cries from the street below, where a corpse had just been found.
The second killing, similar. A knight in a locked room. Servants all about the house. Guards all around the estate. Yet the beast somehow got him out, dragged him to the town square, and killed him there. No one saw, nor heard a thing.
We have no fear of creatures against which sword and shield protect. But of this beast, nothing is known. Save that it cannot be traced, kills effortlessly, and with no rhyme or reason we can discern.
I sometimes think back to all the contracts I've ever taken from sovereigns. Can't name hardly any where I came out ahead.
You cannot be thinking to refuse.
No. Just struck by a thought. How the Duchess can sometimes be... demanding.
So you accept the contract. Excellent!
We must set off at once. We long wanted this land searching for you. Yet time is of the essence.
Ready to go, soon as you're packed.
Ha! Then post haste to Toussaint.
To Toussaint! Toussaint, the land of love and wine.
Exactly how I remembered it.
You will find Beauclair's changed some these past years.
Walk about when you have the chance. You will see for yourself.
To me, place always seemed straight out of a fairy tale. Knights errant, elven palaces.
You insinuate that we are somehow odd? I shall prove you wrong. This I pledge on the Heron! Guillaume, watch out!
I swore I'd kill a monster!
Perish, Harlot's boots!
big beast. Tackling it single-handed? None too wise.
Neither is love born of wisdom, Witcher. So, Guillaume, out with it. Which fair damsel inspired you to vow to kill that filth?
The most beautiful among them.
If he wishes to guard her name a secret, he need not reveal it.
You I do not know, sir, nor seem you a knight, yet still I am profoundly grateful, nay, indebted to you for your succor. This trophy, sir, is yours.
A giant this close to human settlements? Strange.
Well, that was no ordinary giant. His name was Goliath, rumored to have been a knight once, but one who broke his vows. For this, the Lady of the Lake transformed him into a wild giant and banished him into the Gorgon Hills.
So he came back down? Why?
Several times each year, hunger chased him into the lowlands. Goliath had killed and devoured many shepherds. Guillaume's hunt served a noble cause. At any rate, it's a tale for more agreeable environs.
I'll take the trophy. Why not? Could find someone who'll pay to buy it. Put up a good fight against the giant. Got experience battling monsters?
None. In Toussaint, we mostly chase bandits. But I vowed I'd bring my heart's champion the head of a monstrosity, as the famed Gottfried, known as the Giant Killer, did.
You don't mean to hunt the beast, I hope. The matter's best left to Geralt.
Another challenge awaits me. Yet if Geralt is to hunt the beast, he ought to know. It struck again. The river surrendered a corpse. It washed up in the meander by the cockatrice. Damien de la Tour's guardsmen are there already, securing the area.
Securing the area? Better go there now before they trample any tracks, manhandle any evidence.
Set forth, then. I shall ride for the city to inform her gracious magnificence that Geralt has arrived. We'll meet later, near Guillaume's tent at the tourney grounds. I shall take you then to see her grace.
Brave kid, Guillaume.
Parmanin oversaw his upbringing. Guillaume is his kin.
It matters not that a man's as fit as a fiddler, if he never
Can't get used to the way you knights talk, especially how you switch back and forth between flowery and, well, near normal.
We are knights errant, in the service of her gracious magnificence. When we appear in her name or speak on her behalf, we are bound by tradition. No one here. They must have removed the body already.
Let's look around, make sure they didn't miss anything. Hobnailed boots, multiple sets of prints. Ducal guard, clearly. Let's see where they went. Walked along the shoreline.
Perhaps the body lay on the bank.
Anything taken by the current ends up in these shallows.
Yes, the stench is fierce.
Got guests. Careful. Show me what you got.
Glory of her grace! I shall make happy of you!
Drawn here by the smell of blood. Let's keep looking. Blood. Guardsmen pulled these nets out of the water, then cut the mutilated body free. Gonna dive in, make sure they didn't miss anything. Only blood-soaked scraps left of the victim's clothing. Good quality cloth.
Wealthy victim, correct?
Looks it. DLC. And look, a boat was launched here. Guardsmen must have loaded the body parts onto it, taken them somewhere. Need to find out where. I'd like to look at the corpse before it starts to decompose.
The inn. Its patrons must have seen the guardsmen, which direction they took. We should ask there.
Seems we've got ourselves an audience.
You think this surprising? The locals will tell the children of children they do not have yet, of the day a quartered corpse was pulled from the river.
One thing. Found a handkerchief in the water. Monogrammed DLC. Mean anything to you?
Delacroix? It cannot be. Was it he the beast slew?
Seems so. Knew him well?
Long past. We were close friends once, but our paths diverged. He was a man of extremes, standing by his companions, no matter the odds. Fighting his foes to the bitter end.
Foes? You have a lot of them?
He did, but I do not see what that has to do with the beast. Ah, Geralt, you've struck a raw nerve. Memories of a time long past, to which I'd rather not return now.
I understand. We can talk later. Let's go to the tavern.
I shall have to leave you soon. Return to court.
Barely got back to Toussaint.
A knight in the service of Her Illustrious Highness knows no rest. In fact, I feared I would return too late to fulfill my duty. Yet it seems I've arrived in the nick of time.
Slithering snake by the leg.
They say her grace has pulled in someone to tend to the beast. A killer from the north. With no lights breaking.
By my troth! Could that be the musty scent of fresh pâté?
Naught else, Sir de Peyrac-Peyran. I see time has not dulled your senses.
We would be honored if you would join us. Your companion as well.
But why do I not detect even a whiff of crayfish chowder?
No soup today, on account of there being no crayfish. I reckon you've not heard, but all I caught was a corpse. I awoke at the crack of dawn, as I do each day, but when I looked up, I beheld a blood-red sky.
This corpse is precisely why we're here. For the man whom you've invited to join you at the table was summoned from a far-off land by her gracious magnificence. He is tasked with tracking and killing the beast.
We invited two men to join us, yet since Sir de Peyrac-Peyran in temperament is more akin to hare than hound, I surmise the other is the hunter. With whom do we have the pleasure?
Name's Geralt.
A humble introduction. You've clearly not tarried long with Sir de Peyrac-Peyran.
Spare us the petty insults. Geralt is a master of the witchering trade. He has questions concerning the beast's last victim.
I was the one to find the corpse. The sun had just risen when I awoke, sat straight up in my bed, looked out the window, and beheld a sky red as blood.
Ask Geralt, please, or we shall be here till winter.
Must have been early in the morning. Went to check your nets and then...
I stepped out of my hut and saw...
By my troth, to the point, man. You found a body ensnared in your crayfish nets. We know this already. What happened then? Did you see anyone nearby? Did you spy anything noteworthy? Anything at all?
Not a soul around, just me. As for noteworthy... well...
What did you see? But be warned, if I hear the sky was red again...
I saw a head bobbing, eyes bulging, The tongue blew and popped out. Next to it, a hand rocking upon the water.
Get a good look at the body parts?
They gave me such a fright. I bolted to town fast as my legs would take me, then returned with guardsmen who told me to keep out of their way. They had a hard haul. The parts were so tangled up in my nets, they were forced to cut them.
Need to examine the body. Know where they took it?
They ferried it across, then loaded it on a cart and hauled it to a cellar at Corvo Bianco to keep it cool, see?
What? Why, Corvo Bianco is Baron Russell's estate. When he learns they've turned his cellar into a morgue, he'll set his hounds on them.
While you were gallivanting about the north, his vineyard was auctioned off.
Who was that? Woman who just left. Didn't see her before. Didn't notice her walk in either.
Doubtless Linnis, the innkeep's daughter. But hold, Geralt, because this is an outrage. Russell's vineyard was auctioned off? Inconceivable.
It is no secret the Baron had gambling debts up to his ears. It finally came time to collect. His creditors auctioned off his property. The Ducal Chancellery bought it, in fact. Russell now bunks with his brother in Vicofaro.
I told Russell he'd get his comeuppance. How long can one draw on past heroics? His creditors must finally have defined that his promises meant nothing.
Such are the times. Today's knights are pale shadows of the heroes of yore.
It's true what they say. God sent the beast to punish us for straying from the old paths.
So folk think the beast's divine punishment.
Knights have turned their backs on the old customs. Where they were defenders of the duchy, they're now defenders of their own tushes.
Why, you insolent...
Let him talk.
The Duchess trades in titles, grants honors to ill-doers. We've strayed from the path of virtue, lost the gods' favor, so the gods sent retribution.
Don't listen to that nonsense, Geralt. It's rehashed street preacher codswallop.
Yes, the rebel rousers have been sprouting up like weeds lately, each offering the same bill of goods.
They say anything else about the beast? Besides it being a messenger of the gods?
The Toussaintois are no fools. They see clearly the beast kills on days honoring patron saints.
Picky monster. So, let him...
Yeah.
Thanks for the hospitality. Time I examined the corpse.
Corvo Bianco lies a short way from here, near the tourney grounds. Just follow the road and you'll arrive.
Not coming with? Oh yeah, duty of some sort calls.
Some sort? Ha! Her Grace bestowed a great honor on me, even before we departed for Velen. I'm to play the hare during this year's game in the palace gardens. When you see me in my costume, you will wet yourself laughing.
A little tempted to ask a few questions, but it sounds like a long, complicated story. One involving lengthy digressions into local history and tradition. So, see you later, Milton, and good luck. Ducal clerks looking for help. Could be good coin to be made.
Guesses champion.
Sounds of a fight. Have to hurry. Damn it. Killer must still be here. In the cellar. Gotta be. Footprints. Small, bare feet. Lead deeper into the cellar. Fell down the stairs, broke his neck. You. Saw you at the inn. Why'd you kill these people? Clearly wasn't for their blood. We don't have to fight.
You are wrong.
I cannot let you leave.
Stinks. Waterlogged. Both hands amputated. Body was quartered just as I thought. Laid in water for some time. Head swollen, and something took a few bites out of it. Something in the throat. A pouch, bulging with coins. Nilfgaardian florins, from several different provinces. If the murderer did this, means we're dealing with a sentient thinking beast. body was chopped up after death. Blows struck with great force, but bones sliced through, not crushed. Creature that killed him had long claws, sharp as a witcher's blade. First sank its claws into the victim's heart. No Bruxa did this. Third hand. A spare? Except it's clearly not the victim's. Guardsmen must have not noticed it as they picked everything up. How's this possible? Still warm. Blood still flowing? Several monster species can regenerate. Never heard of that happening to their severed limbs, though. Or of their limbs seeming completely alive after so much time. Examine the tissue more closely later. Might learn something. So, murderer was clearly a monster, but not a Bruxa. But then why'd the Bruxa come here for the severed hand? And who does the hand belong to? Why the hell's it still warm? Now, how'd shoved down the victim's throat? What's the significance? And why was he chopped up into pieces? Lots of questions, no answers so far. Need to know about the other victims. I'll ask Palmerin to get me in to see the Duchess.
It was so horrid. It shook all the bones.
Then what?
It helped the Maelstrom.
Never you are. The air
But
here
you
is
always
such that one
trumps
is
villainy.
never
With his
hallowed.
friends at his side. He owned best of Goliath and restored peace to the land.
Need to speak to the Duchess, urgently.
All right, you scamps. Story's done. Go find your parents.
But the Palmerin. What about the story of Riddick and the dragon?
They're tales for another time. But take a good look at the man who stands before you now. This is Geralt of Rivia, the master witcher who lent his valiant hand to the defeat of the giant Goliath.
Master Witcher, is it true virtue always trumps villainy?
Not always. Could go either way. Sometimes virtue wins, sometimes villainy gets the upper hand. Still worth being good.
But why? If it doesn't mean you'll win.
Palmerin's story. Think back. A decent man attracts other good folk, makes friends he can count on. A rogue? Well, you can only count on other rogues. And who would you rather have for a friend?
A man of virtue?
I must agree. Now, that will do for questions. Go find your parents. Her Knight and Highness has doubtless arrived at the tourney grounds to watch the battle in the arena. If we hurry, we'll be in time to speak with her before the spectacle begins.
Lead the way. Who's fighting? Nilfgaardian gladiators?
Close, but not quite. As you'll soon see.
Someone's gonna fight a Shalmar? With only some bells on its tail to confuse it, slow it down?
Whatever is the problem? The beast is a gift from the Emperor, no less.
This is dangerous. Bells on its tail aren't enough.
I saw the spectacle of the sword of the arena in Nuremberg. There, a knight defeated a Shelmar with bells on its tail.
Might have gotten lucky. Shaelmar might have been lame. Who knows? Only a Witcher has a real chance against a healthy Shaelmar. And that's not even every Witcher. Besides which, releasing a monster that dangerous in front of a crowd? Plain irresponsible. Who's going to fight the beast?
Guillaume, the young man you met.
Yeah. Mentioned he'd promised his heart's captor a monster trophy.
Great love demands great sacrifices.
Let's go.
I dedicate my imminent victory to fair Lady Vivian.
It's begun. The fight shall have to end first. We must wait.
Got a bad feeling about this. Damn it.
knightling, the beast our girth, let loose the roar and knocked him to earth. Down came the Witcher in one mighty bound to give fight to the beast, its plans confound. Has been weighed by the gods. Soon the Witcher shall triumph against all odds. Struck the monster like through! Strikes belly, Selma's cries wrinkle out, blood transforms. The Selma lies defeated by Geralt of Rivia, master of the witchering trade. Behold, as the last gasps of life seep from the beast.
Master Geralt, do what you must. Finish the deed!
It suffered enough.
The monster lies slain! The fight is done! Praised be the victors!
Guillaume?
The lad came damned close to dying.
I'm fine. Not hurt at all. Vivian?
Smile as befits a hero and keep silent. Speech clearly paints you. She approaches.
Geralt, we must talk. Vivian.
You shall talk later, in the medic's tent.
Geralt, magnificent, breathtaking.
Your Grace.
We knew that to summon you was a brilliant idea. We are delighted, ravished to have struck upon it.
And I'm truly honored.
See to our young hero. Hop, hop. For we must make off with Geralt. We should talk. We had been long awaiting your arrival. Had nearly lost hope. Then suddenly, that entrance, so spectacular.
Your Grace, my contract. I'd like to discuss it.
Naturally, but not here. We shall need Damien. He led the investigation pending your arrival. but wherever could he be? Come, we must find him. Tell us, have you come alone? Or did Viscount Julian accompany you?
Wish to see Dandelion, Your Grace?
Yes. I mean, no. Yes. But solely to tell him we regret. Yes, deeply regret rescinding the death sentence we so justly handed down upon him. If we could turn back time, we would make certain he sat in a tower till he rotted. No, we would ensure he was broken on the wheel, then drawn, hanged, and quartered. Ah, the very man we would entrust with these tasks. Damien de la Tour, captain of my personal guard.
Your Grace. Witcher.
Greetings. Sorry to have to tell you, but the guardsman handling the last victim's body...
I know already. The creature in the cellar of Corvo Bianco. Was it the beast?
No. A Bruxa, a kind of vampire. Not the beast, but tied to it in some way.
You know this how?
Through careful analysis of the evidence, both on the riverbank and at Corvo Bianco.
Do you mean to insinuate the investigation thus far has been sloppy?
Geralt insinuates nothing of the sort. We must listen to him attentively.
I examined the body of the beast's last victim. Might have found something. Need to analyze it. A quiet place, that's what I could use most right now. And maybe the help of an alchemist or a mage. Also like to hear all you know about the previous victims. Take it Sir de la Tour is my man for that.
Firstly, call me Damien, please. Secondly, you should know I spoke against summoning you here. I've heard much about you. You bring trouble, or thus far have, always. And we've enough trouble as it is. Yet we are capable of defeating the beast on our own, without an outsider's help. I've no doubt about it.
Damien, we settled the matter of the Witcher's employ some time past. Definitively. Since you have broached it nonetheless, let us discuss Geralt's pay. Are the legends true? Do Witchers usually demand that which you find at home, yet did not expect?
Not quite, Your Grace. Law of surprise, it's something we invoke at times, but rarely. Usually we just take gold.
Disappointing. This law sounds rather romantic. On the other hand, on returning to the palace, we would likely find impatient petitioners or a set of sample fabrics for a new dress. Poor rewards, both. I fear you'd not have much use for any of the surprises we are likely to come upon. Thus, we've decided you shall receive the deed to a vineyard, Corvo Bianco, and a sum of coin. You will doubtless consider this adequate. Title to the vineyard shall be given to you at once. Surely you'll need lodgings while you hunt. The coin, however, will be yours only once you have slain the beast.
Lovely, generous gesture, Your Grace. Corvo Bianco. Isn't it the Duchy's temporary morgue?
Is it now? The Chancellery's bungled things again, we fear. Not to be left unsupervised for one instant. Yet, in its mood, a morgue should present minimal problems to a Witcher. What's more, nothing enhances a wine's reputation better than a grim legend.
Thank you, Your Grace. I accept the contract, of course. But as I said before, I'll need some information. How'd it start? Who was the first victim?
Crespi was the first to die. He was famed once for his many glorious tournament victories. Then he grew old, hung up his sword, and took to winemaking.
Crespi was not loved by the wine merchants. He was ruthless in business and thought to cheat many a time. He asked us for a dispensation from all court ceremonies. We did not grant it. We could not. Once you've taken the oath of a knight, you remain a knight till death.
How'd he die? Where'd they find the body?
Quite unusual, the circumstance. He was at a feast when suddenly one of his fellow feastgoers noticed he was missing. The town watch found him an hour later. On his hands and knees, propped against the town pillory, his sword hanging from his neck. He had died of wounds inflicted with claws, not a weapon. Blows of great force.
So he died suddenly, but the body was on its knees, meaning someone posed it.
So it seems.
Second murder. Tell me what you know.
In the city there are certain nooks. No one reasonable ventures there after dark. Ramon Dulac's corpse was found in one such place. With the first murder, terror gripped the city. Its inhabitants grew wary, kept to safe areas. Consequently, news of the second victim came to us from a group of concerned cut-purses.
Criminals fear the beast? Telling in a way. Take it you've excluded the possibility that Ramon died at the hands of these bandits.
Do you believe me an amateur? Not hands, but claws killed Ramon Dulac. The wound was deep, clean.
His body was found in the gutter, dressed in nightshirt and cap, a pillow placed under his head, and his sword replaced by a bed warmer. Ramon Dulac, a knight who but a dozen years past was an advisor to our father, the Duke.
Someone went to a lot of trouble to make him look ridiculous. Maybe revenge was the motive.
It's not out of the question. Dulac had shady dealings with the criminal underworld, but no one ever came forth with concrete proof of any misdoings.
So, first two victims were knights, best years behind them.
The same could be said of the third. Sir Delacroix was wont to claim that in modern times knights face new challenges, enterprise being the latest addition to the chivalric virtues.
He made a veritable fortune in the grain trade. Palmerin even nicknamed him Sir de la Stinchi.
Found a coin pouch on his body. Contained florins dating from various times, hailing from different provinces of the Empire.
Delacroix loved coin, true, but had no patience for numismatics.
Lots of similarities between the victims. All the bodies were found in strange places under extraordinary circumstances. Seems the murderer, whoever or whatever it is, has some meaning to convey.
These were honorable men. We are horrified by the disdain, the disrespect with which they were treated. These were knights of Toussaint. Blast it.
Might be the point. From what you say, none was a model of virtue. Ever considered that's what the beast's trying to draw attention to?
All the murdered men were knights who swore fealty to the 5 chivalric virtues. And even if
Knights of Toussaint swear fealty to what virtues exactly?
honor, wisdom, generosity, valor, and compassion.
5 virtues. Why are they so important to your knights?
Strange question.
Your Grace, forgive me. I'm a foreigner trying to understand another land's customs.
You are forgiven. According to legend, the virtues we cultivate were bestowed upon us by the Lady of the Lake. How we truly came to espouse them, none remember. In Toussaint, we believe men of low birth should be simple-hearted and obedient. We expect much more, however, of our knights. They are to be soldiers and courtiers, lords and servants. Thus, the need for clear moral guidelines. At the time of his dubbing, a knight vows to demonstrate throughout his life honor, wisdom, generosity, valor, and compassion.
Beast seems to be pointing up moral decay, denouncing it. Victims were all humiliated. Might have been murdered to emphasize their lack of specific chivalric virtues.
Honor compromised by the pillory. Wisdom by ridicule. Generosity by a coin pouch shoved down a throat. It seems to fit, true, though not perfectly.
Can't discount the theory if it's on the lips of everyone in town. Say our reasoning's right. Next murder will be just as showy and denounce the victim's lack of the 4th virtue, valor. We can also assume that victim will be an elder knight.
Let's think. At the moment, all the knights are either at the tourney grounds or in the palace gardens. Our annual hare hunt shall begin there shortly. Have you heard of the custom?
Milton mentioned something. Seemed excited to prance around in a bunny costume. Not sure why. Hang on. Strange circumstances. A knight advanced in years. The famed cowardice of rabbits.
Could it be that simple? Is Milton de Peyrac Peyren the next victim?
Milton also knew Delacroix. Told me so down by the river.
Damien! To miss something so obvious. The Peyrac Peyren, Crespi, Delacroix, and Delac formed the knightly team. It was years ago, but
They were a team?
they were close friends, tightly knit, and as such earned the trust of our father, the Duke. We often witnessed him turn to them with delicate matters. Later, their paths diverged.
Unlikely to be a coincidence. Beast must know it too. It's a lead, I'm sure. Your Grace, we need to find Milton, immediately.
Rather problematic. You see, the garden entertainments are due to start, and he's disguised as the Hare, hiding somewhere, waiting for some tipsy courtiers to find him. The Hare's hiding place is a carefully guarded secret.
We must call off the game at once.
First and foremost, we must remain calm. Damien, order the garden searched immediately, but discreetly. By no means can we disrupt the festivities. Panic will only incite the beast to strike sooner. And you, Witcher, follow me. My gardens, my night, I shall take the fall. A murder is out of the question. I will not allow it. Not near my palace. Horses? Ready our horses! Your Grace!
What the hell? Why, I should... Your Highness,
Mind it doesn't get wrinkled. Onward! Hey! That is silk! Be careful! Give it to me! Faster, Geralt! Right like the wind!
Your Grace seems right at home in the saddle.
This way! Through town! Try not to lose the way! Sharp right! Take care!
Good!
It's her! It's her! Clear a path! Clear the way, I said! Is this part of the game? It's here! Just round the corner!
Hurry!
We must go to where the game is being held. The participants must find a unicorn's horn, a golden fish, and a phoenix egg. With these in hand, they can deduce where the hare, Milton, hides.
Mean we need to find those things too.
We've no other option. But time is of the essence, so we shall have to break the rules. On second thought, through here. I shall show you where the hunt plays out. Then we will split up. You will get hold of the unicorn horn and the golden fish. While I nab the phoenix egg. That will be quickest.
Golden fish. Do I need a rod or a net?
Please, Geralt. It's not a real fish. Look there, towards the water. See the lights? The hunters are trying to hook the fish from boats. You must simply dive in and find it.
The unicorn. How do I catch it?
It's terribly skittish, true, but I'm sure you will find a way to earn its trust. It runs around over there, look. The golden fish and the horn both contain things or clues that will help us find Milton. Once you have fish and horn, find me among the other phoenix egg hunters. All clear? Then let's get to it.
state courageous or cowardly? What other part of the state would one have to find?
But this is no true unicorn.
Perhaps an apple will work. Or some sweets.
We would not be in this predicament, dear sister, were you still a virgin.
Do you really wish to have this conversation again? Here and now?
Hush, or you'll spook the beast. We shall try the sweets.
Hey folks, gonna have to ruin your fun. Sorry.
Who's that?
Almost done. Stay calm. Shh. Calm down. Easy now.
Well, that's hardly fair.
Flagrant cheating is what it is! Sirs, we must teach this scamp some proper sportsmanship.
Listen, I didn't break any rules.
True, he won fair and square. We were unlucky, that's all.
We must try to grab the next clue.
Gardens are huge. Be better off on horseback.
Unworthy. Entirely inappropriate behavior. A complete collapse of social...
Golden fish should be easy to spot once I'm under.
Scars.
What the blazes?
Did someone just dive in the water? Perhaps that's the way to do it.
Sure, if you're a peasant.
Hey, wait. Stop. It's important.
King Cormorant, sire, accept this offering we bring. Prithee cast upon us your merciful eye, and bear before us its secrets.
As the moon is heavily coursed up trace, in my domain I await that moment of grace, when a soul of good or ill repute brings me a gift, fitting tribute.
A key.
Why, you bomb-botched wretch!
He's ruined the game!
Disgraceful.
The light is positively useless. She can't possibly see a thing.
What? Precisely.
Take good care of yourself. Do they pay you well, Richard? Enough for wine and women? But your grace...
Ah.
No one.
If you please, Your Grace.
We do not please. We act out of the highest necessity. All shall be explained later.
But it's against the rules.
I am the rules. Geralt! At last.
Got a key and a clue.
And I've another. Show me yours. Who wrote this drivel? I begin like a crone, hollowed out with ease, then end like a mouse, with a head of hard cheese.
Let's see. Grown. With ease gives us green, right? And mouse with the head of hard cheese. Greenhouse?
You're a genius. Several greenhouses in the gardens, indeed, but only one locks, the key to which looks just like the one we found.
Greenhouse it is then. Let's go. Wait here.
What the butch?
What was that?
I'm here.
This belonged to you, maybe?
It did, but you may keep it. I've a new one. I do not know you. I've done you no harm. Yet first you butchered a Bruxer who was dear to me. Now you pursue me. Why?
You've killed 4 innocent people, at least.
And you? How many innocents have you cut down?
I don't kill innocents. Murderers, though, you bet.
I'll soon be done. I've but one left. And you, should you not stand down.
And once you're done, intend to leave? Go kill somewhere else?
No. I intend to live. Happily ever after. to stay where you were. Regenerate!
I know you're in trouble. I can help.
I'll help myself!
No, he's my friend.
Yes, Geralt, it's me.
Regis? You all right?
All is well. All's in order. Wounds such as these heal on vampires in moments. But we've not seen one another in ages, my friend. At least in human terms, that is.
How's this even possible? Last I saw you...
I was a bubbling, shapeless smear, having been rather spectacularly melted into a column of a certain castle. In somewhat better shape now, as you can see. Hardly peak form, mind you, but were I human, folk would think me a demigod, I dare say.
I'm sorry. What happened, it was my fault. Never got a chance to apologize.
No need, Geralt. Bygones. I did not have to join you on that expedition. No one twisted my arm.
Miraculous regeneration. How do you manage it?
I had help. From the one you hunt.
Him? How? And what have you been doing all these years?
Not the time nor place for such stories. I suspect we'll get a chance to speak at ease and at length later. Now, however, we must deal with the reason that brought us both here.
Local serial killer seems to obey you. Maybe you could talk him out of it, convince him to stop murdering.
Why do you think I've come? It shall not be easy, as Dettlaff can be rather stubborn. Though you must certainly recall that neither do I surrender readily.
So that's his name. He's your friend?
You might call it that. Though Dettlaff is... how would you humans put it? More bestial than I am. But not to worry. I'm working on him.
Haven't exactly done a great job with that. He's killed one knight since I got here. At least 3 others before I arrived.
For good reason, I'm sure. Understand, Dettlaff is not some decadent shit who kills for sport, or to assuage a dryness of throat or a dullness of mood.
Seem pretty damn sure of that.
I am, because I know him very well. Despite appearances to the contrary, you two are quite alike. You've both noble hearts, yet you both are wont to perform ignoble deeds. When circumstances force you to, of course. Remember the year 964?
That was 3 centuries ago.
Blind fear gripped Rivia, Lyria, and Spala. Women and children were dying. Their mutilated, dismembered corpses littered the fields.
Brute of Lyria. Read about it. Chewed up almost 200, then fell to a common poacher supposedly armed with a dagger blessed by some prophet.
It fell to Dettlaff, who then found a poacher asleep in the brush near his snares and dropped the fiend's corpse at his feet. And thus, a legend was born.
Vampires rarely help humans. Must have had his own agenda, hunting the beast.
You err. He slew it for one reason alone. The monster killed a lad who once, in the street, had offered Dettlaff an apple, expecting nothing in return.
Terribly noble of him.
You do not have a monopoly on altruism, my friend. Vilgefortz melted my body. Dettlaff found what was left. As per our codex, he had a choice. To leave me where I was, or to care for me and nurture my remains. He chose the latter. Regenerated me at no small expense in his own blood. Do you know what that means to a vampire? The gravity of the endeavor?
Probably same thing it means to a human. You owe him your life.
Much more than that. The act itself made us blood brethren. A bond so strong humans cannot even imagine. Which is why I know something ill is afoot.
Always had an overdeveloped sense of empathy.
Each vampire has a unique talent. One they hone over centuries. It's precisely what renders us so difficult to classify. Dettlaff's trump card is his herd instinct, his tribal propensity. In point of fact, he prefers the company of lesser vampires and shuns that of humans. If he walks among you, killing egregiously, it can only mean something's upset him immensely.
Anything specific? Some set of things that'd be likely to set him off?
How should I say this? Detlef doesn't understand men, their world, its rules, its conventions. He's naive in a sense. He doesn't comprehend your games, knows not what it means to lie, deceive.
Suggested. He's maladjusted and venting his rage.
I'm suggesting maladjustment can at times breed conflict. But is it the case this time? I cannot say, but intend to find out.
Gotta find him before something upsets him even more, and all Beauclair is awash with blood.
Well, we share a cause then, just like the old days.
Not entirely. I mean, when I find him, you know.
I know you've a contract on his head. Yet your true task is to stop the beast killing, not necessarily to kill the beast, am I right?
All in all, sure.
Let us find him. By the time we do, I hope I'll have convinced you Detlef is no monster.
Fine, all right already. But for now, evidence is stacking up against him.
Hear that?
The posse. Knights must have tracked me here.
I prefer they not find me here. I've makeshift quarters at Mère Lachaise Long Cemetery. We'll meet there.
See you.
Witcher, we flew here as fast as our courses would carry us. Yet I fear we're late all the same. Pray, where is the beast?
Still investigating. About to inspect this site. Withdraw your men before they trample all over the evidence.
Sirs, we must let the Witcher do his work. Milton's murder cannot go unavenged. We must allow the Witcher to ply his trade.
Sir! Sir! A letter for you, sir!
Letter? Who from?
Can't rightly say, sir. I was just to deliver it.
Here. And thanks.
No, sir. Thank you. And I truly hope I'll be of service again.
My dear friend.
I've been told you're on a jaunt to Toussaint. I do hope you don't overtax yourself during the wine festival. The effects of such exertion at your age can indeed prove most detrimental. I've come upon some information which might be of interest to you. While browsing through a colleague's book collection, I found mention of one Professor Moreau of Beauclair, who conducted research into Witcher mutations. The details I've come to learn are rather vague, and his laboratory's location remains a mystery. Yet his journal should at least provide hints as to both. It is said he was laid to rest with it in his tomb. I enclose a map I found in the tome I happened upon. Though less than completely legible, I trust it will prove useful nonetheless. Should you grow tired of sampling Beauclair's ladies, wines, and other exquisite delicacies, this matter might prove a fruitful diversion. Investigate at your leisure. Your friend, Yennefer.
A professor who studied Witcher mutations. Might actually be worth looking into.
When I think of those days of yore, ere fate had bound my life to mine, my heart weeps to think how sore it felt itself to be not yours.
My heart's about to burst from a circle.
A witcher?
Your reputation precedes you, Geralt.
The Duchess and the chivalric code. To death!
140. Greetings, brave hero. I am Raphael de Serman, and I am the Ducal Camarlengo.
I'm Geralt. So what is it you do here?
I pay the knight's errand.
For what?
Our knights wander the roads, protecting Toussaint from bandits.
Wouldn't mind a glance at your... Well, see you later.
Go in peace for a night.
Our Duchess is usually very kind.
He and his... I might go. Have there been any titles?
A fruitful hunt to you, Witcher.
Nox Vie. Might be worth looking into. Nice tune. Someone needs an escort. Not something I do often, but might be worth investigating.
Days pass. The pile of earth remains the same.
Welcome home, sir. I am Barnabas Basil Faulty. By order of the Duchess, I shall serve you as Major Domo of Corvo Bianco. I previously served with distinction at the Nibli family manor and in Nazaire with Admiral Rompali, who, as you are certain to know, is an extraordinary, demanding gentleman.
Whoa, Barnabas Basil. One thing you ought to know. I'm not your typical landed gentleman. Truth be told, this is the first real property I've ever owned.
Oh, in that case, you must leave it all to me. I shall organize, see to everything, and whip the house into order. I dare say this place will soon be the most prosperous vineyard around.
Great. Can already see I'm in good hands. Vineyard comes across as a place with a rich history. Know who owned it before me?
Baron Rossel, who went bankrupt, forcing him to sell the estate to the Duchess. The Baron, in turn, had purchased it from Monsieur Bolius of the Headsman, a truly colorful man of Ketweni origin.
He was actually a headsman?
No, not him, but his great-great-great-great-grandfather. Indeed. Apparently, he was a common cut-purse who somehow secured for himself the post of ducal headsman in Beauclair. Went about his work with an exceptional penchant. They say he chopped off more heads than there are grapevines in the ducal vineyards. He never hesitated, not once. Never sliced unevenly, never botched a job. For his exemplary service, the Duke granted him a title and this estate. Monsieur Bolius, on the other hand, was an engineer in his younger years. Once retired, he settled here and took to producing wine. Sadly, misfortune struck and he lost his sense first of smell, then of taste. Additionally, he could not drink alcohol. His medic forbade it.
Shame that. He gave up making wine?
Not at all. He made even more of it. Began throwing wild balls to which he'd invite friends from far and wide in order to treat them to his wine and delight in the fact that at least someone could enjoy it. It's the sort of man he was, Monsieur Bolius.
Mind giving me a little tour de Corvo Bianco?
Not in the least. Follow me, please. I think it would be practical to begin on the hill. Behold, sir, your estate in all its splendor.
Pretty vast.
Indeed. And now, sir, allow me to show you a handful of interesting details. Follow me, please.
Been a major domo all your life?
Yes, I come from a long line of major domos. My father was a major domo, as was my grandfather before him, as was my great-aunt. In fact, she was the one to start the tradition.
Great-aunt?
A hard woman. It is said that already as a child, she knew where she was going and went there. When she arrived in Beauclair, she signed on as a chambermaid at one of the vineyards, then slowly worked her way up to Major Domo. She dragged the rest of the family up the same path.
Every single lady keeps
The servants' quarters. I occupy the green home. With the Duchess's permission, I have hired a full staff. Their salaries to be paid from the ducal treasury.
Nice of her.
Not the most sightly part of the estate, I admit. But I think it worthwhile for you as master of the domain to know where the help stays. Baron Rossel ordered the vines in this part of the estate uprooted and olive groves planted in their place. They look beautiful, especially come spring.
Don't look at all bad now, either.
Down below lies your vineyard, where we grow a strain of Carfanere, one of the world's oldest. Aged in oak barrels, it provides for an exquisite wine with distinct blackberry, wild cherry, plum, and cinnamon notes.
have to try it one of these days.
The innkeeper's boy got so sauced the other day, he tried to
work
stick an
from
egg
dawn
back
to
up
dusk's
a hen's
last
hiney.
night. Oh, yes.
Nice well. Picturesque.
Yes, though it ran dry long ago. During the raucous feasts Master Bolius held, he would order it filled with wine. There's a tale about a guest attending a Bolius ball for the first time and thus unaware of the custom. He had suffered great heartbreak and had decided to end his life by jumping into the well. The festivities were coming to a close, and the well was nearly empty when the suicidal guest finally jumped. Instead of killing himself, he merely broke his legs. To numb the pain, he drank the wine.
Drank himself to death?
Not at all. When found the next day, he had concluded he'd witnessed twin miracles. The water had been changed into wine, and he had survived. He retired to a monastery in the Dragon Mountains and began preaching the wisdoms of Lebioda. Monsieur Bolius' wife Nina kept a garden here. A supremely lovely place it was.
Bit neglected now.
I agree. Yet nothing stands in the way of restoring it to its former glory, and once again planting it with herbs and other vegetation. Madame Nina planted diminutive, delicate flowers and herbs here. One might say their aroma still hangs in the air.
You're quite the romantic, Barnabas Basil.
Now I shall sing you a song. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Days pass, the pile of work remains the same.
This served as an additional wine cellar in years of plentiful harvests.
Bit of work and it'll make a fine stable for Roach.
I work from dawn to dusk's last light, then give my wife a good long night.
The cellars, voila. During Monsieur Bolis's time, wine was kept here, but Baron Rossel used it to store olive oil as well. I took the liberty of cleaning up the mess, which
I made while fighting the Bruxa. Thanks, Barnabas Basil. Appreciate it.
As you can see, the facade is, how to put it, slightly stained. But one cannot deny it, a certain subtle southern charm.
True, though it could use a bit of subtle paint.
And welcome inside. On the left is the master bedroom. On the right, the dining hall and kitchen. Upstairs, we shall find the guest room, currently used for storage.
Not a bad idea.
At the moment, the house is only minimally furnished. Yet I believe we will, together, devise some innovative arrangements. A few paintings, for instance, would breathe new life into the abode immediately. With that, sir, you've seen the full lay of the land. Corvo Bianco is a beautiful estate. One must admit, time has taken its toll. Forgive me for being forward, but if you were to choose to invest a small sum towards its beautification, consider me at your service on the matter.
Think I'll take you up on that. Be sure to come and see you if I decide to do any remodeling. Mentioned the place could stand to be spruced up.
Oh, most decidedly, sir. The question is where you would like to begin this rejuvenation.
Got these spacious grounds. But maybe it's time to make them more... useful.
Oh, yes. We certainly should. The way I see things, given your trade, sir, you would be wise to put in a grindstone and an armorer's table. A good way to start things off, don't you think?
My armor needs work from time to time. You know, oil this, reinforce that. Could use a decent work table where I could do all that.
Admiral Rompali once hired a specialist who made the finest armorer's tables this side of the Yaruga. I will contact him at once.
Good. Order me up a table like that.
Immediately, sir. I expect it will take at most 1 day to arrive. Will you be needing anything else, sir?
In my trade, my blades get dull pretty quick. Could use a grindstone, professional grade.
Of course. No one would consider that an unnecessary extravagance, I would wager.
Then send out for one, please. A high-quality stone to be set up in the yard.
Of course. I shall send a runner to town at once. I believe you shall be grinding to your heart's content by tomorrow. Will you be needing anything else, sir?
Starting to...
I agree. Yet I would urge you to...
That's all for now, BB. Thanks.
How might I be
Starting to really like...
As you wish.
Been thinking about the outer walls. Maybe a fresh coat of paint or some patching.
If I might dare to make a suggestion, why not start with a general renovation? I once oversaw such work at Admiral Rompeli's summer residence. The effects were simply breathtaking. Not only did the residence positively sparkle afterwards, but we also made room to display the Admiral's armor and weapons, of which he was a passionate collector.
It's in your hands then. Make the place shine.
I shall get to work immediately. Within a day's passing, I shall have sent for the crew which rebuffed the Admiral's residence. They are the finest specialists around. Highly skilled at what they do, it shall not take them too long, I wager. 2 days after they begin, your eyes will behold your residence in its refurbished, rejuvenated, beautified state. Is there anything else you require, sir?
That's all for now, BB. Thanks.
The days pass. The pile of work remains the same.
Renovations coming along all right, Barnabas Basil?
Superbly, sir. General refurbishment has been completed, and I took the liberty of adding 2 racks, each upon which you might hang weapons and armor, if you've some pieces you'd like to display. Likewise, I have prepared a few spots in which new paintings might be hung. In other news, the laborers dusting out the cellar have made a most unusual discovery. I believe it's something you'll wish to see.
If you say I should see it, I'll go see it right now, BB. Strange. Something behind this wall, I think. A laboratory. Must have been an alchemist at one time. BB, know anything about the laboratory in the cellar? One of the previous owners take an interest in alchemy?
A laboratory? Alchemy? I know nothing of it. But I understand that to a witcher this must be a very intriguing find.
It is. It was walled up. Equipment's pretty ancient too, so it must have belonged to someone who lived at Corvo Bianco before you started working here. Whoever it was sure knew their stuff, though. Got dragon glass vials and flasks, stills, sublimators, vengerometers.
Forgive me, sir, but I fear I don't follow.
Just saying, it's top-notch equipment. True masterpieces of craftsmanship for use in alchemy. Brewing a concoction with this stuff versus doing it over an open fire? Well, there's no comparison.
Then I am all the more delighted you discovered it, sir.
Starting to really like this place. Maybe we should keep going, refurbish some more. What do you think, BB?
As you wish, sir. Shall we see to the house or the grounds this time?
Starting to get into this whole renovating thing. There must be other things we can improve.
What a splendidly wise idea. Now that the general refurbishment is done, why not see to the grounds? Perhaps renovate the stables, or return Madame Bolis's garden to its former verdancy?
You know Roach, my horse? Well, we've been through a lot together. And since I've finally got a decent place to stay, I think she deserves one too.
Oh, a sturdy stable testifies to a most honorable owner. Just say the word, and I'll have them start working on it at once.
My roach deserves the best. Have them refurbish the stables.
I shall get to work at once. Yet finding workmen and completing construction takes time, though likely no more than 2 days. Will you be needing anything else, sir?
So, sometimes I have to brew a potion, but I can't find the herbs I need growing anywhere nearby.
Well, you're in luck, sir. The flower garden, once kept by Madame Nina, Monsieur Bolis's wife, seems the ideal place to cultivate herbs. In fact, it's roomy enough to plant shrubbery.
Good idea, Barnabas Basil. Herbs there will save me hours of painstaking searching and harvesting.
The idea is yours, sir. I am but the humble executor of your will. I believe we shall have sown the first seeds in 2 days' time. Will you be needing anything else, sir?
Feels like by investing a bit of coin, I could make the house more functional.
Indeed, momentum is best maintained once established. Now that we've finished the general renovations, you might begin to consider such things as a new bed, or additional armor stands, or weapon racks. Also, some new furnishings and a fresh coat of paint on the walls would do much to improve the guest quarters.
Thinking about buying a comfortable bed. Always wanted one.
Excellent idea. In your profession, rest is supremely important. But say the word, and I shall order you a bed from the carpenters who craft comfort for the court.
Great. Order me a fine bed, please. Think I deserve one at my age.
True indeed, true indeed. I shall send a runner at once. The bet will be in place by this time tomorrow. Is there anything else you require, sir?
Could use another weapon rack. Got some interesting pieces I'd like to display.
I know of a carpentry shop in town which crafts the humblest lumber into true masterpieces. You need but give the word.
Fine. Order the racks.
Of course, at once. At most 1 day for them to arrive, is my estimation. Is there anything...
Along the path, I've often picked up well-crafted, beautifully ornamented armor. Some of those pieces would look great on display here.
I agree. It would lend the place a certain witch's air. Shall I order new stands at once, sir?
Yes. Just please make sure they're solidly made and nicely finished.
It goes without saying, sir. There is nothing worse than splendid armor upon a subpar stand. By this time tomorrow, they shall be ready to display your finest finds. Is there anything...
Was wondering about the guest room. Not that I'm expecting company, but...
Oh, but that is immaterial. All self-respecting homes should boast a comfortable guest room. What if someone were to drop by unannounced?
Yeah. Sooner we start on that, the better.
I can tell a man of action immediately. I'll see to it myself. The room shall be ready in 2 days, in my opinion. Is there anything else you require, sir?
That's all for now, BB. Thanks.
If they would just take to work as they take to dance and drink.
The days pass. The pile of work remains.
Boy got so sauced the other day. He tried
Go up to any knight and shout, the beast! You'll smell the sword armor at once. Rub off. Oh, it was go up to any knight and shout.
You smell that? Those are the vapors of Tucson.
Hey, Edgar. Are the rumors true? Are there elfin ruins somewhere in the woods?
I doubt it myself, but the wife, she went very picky once. Came back to say she'd seen wolves midst the trees.
And did she not go back to the brute? See if there was treasure to be had.
No. I told her there might be treasure, but there might not. Monsters.
Regis. Couldn't have picked some other place to meet. Regis! Damn it. Locked. No way I got the place wrong. This is it. Gotta be another way in around here. Long wars. Fiddle around here. Agreed to meet a vampire at a cemetery. How much more cliché can you get?
Nothing comes readily to mind.
Could have left the door unlatched.
What of my privacy? I value it rather deeply. Unmolested, especially by unwanted guests, that's my preferred state. Besides, I knew you'd find a way to get in.
True enough. Need to find your friend. I'm hoping you'll agree to help.
I shall do whatever's in my power. Yet what you want or even need must matter little. What matters is what Dettlaff wants. If he does not wish to be found, you will not find him. Ever. End of story.
Come on. Gotta be some way.
Vampires can evade detection by the senses, and no divination magic works on us. Even the most precise megascope would be useless.
And this? Could this help?
Wherever did you get that?
Off one of the beast's victims, found by a bend in the river. Body was chopped in pieces. 3 of those pieces were hands. Hand with the ring seemed the odd one out. Abruxa had taken an interest in it.
It's Dettlaff's hand, without a doubt. It will do splendidly.
The hand. What do you plan to do with it?
You've heard of Kovinaris' theory of tissue memory retention.
Rings a distant bell. Read about it in Alchemia Oblitera. There's a copy at Kaer Morhen, tattered, nearly disintegrated. But if memory serves, Kovinaris never managed to prove it worked.
He did prove it, just never managed to publish his findings. He and I corresponded, you see, after we became friends. Thus, I know he completed his research and performed the first tests. It's complicated, so without delving into details, it is possible to use any piece of tissue to reconstruct what a whole body experienced.
How's it work? We need any special equipment?
We must brew a decoction which Kovinaris gave a rather poetic name: resonance. Once imbibed, it sends one into a trance similar to that induced by narcotics. This triggers visions of events linked to strong emotions experienced by the tissue's owner. Picture it as dreaming a fragment of someone's life.
Any chance we might see what Dettlaff was doing just before he lost his hand?
Indeed. Though I also hope resonance will reveal the location of Dettlaff's hideout.
Ring's pretty intriguing. Made of no metal I've ever seen. And the ornamentation.
It comes from our home, where we lived before the conjunction of spheres. It's actually mine. I received it from a dear old friend. You might call him a humanist. He saw us vampires as guests here, guests who owe their hosts, meaning you humans and the elder races, respect.
Respect? Meaning not to treat us like cattle to be slaughtered for food?
Precisely. And the reason why I, in turn, gave it to Dettlaff. To remind him of the ideals my old friend championed.
Can't you just summon Dettlaff? You're both hired vampires. There's gotta be a way.
If I'm to be entirely candid, there is indeed one. But believe me, we will be better off never availing ourselves of it. It is a last resort. Absolutely.
Last resort? The hell? Why?
There is a being who can summon Dettlaff. Possesses the authority, even the power, to force him to appear in a given place. But the very act of contacting this being, well, it's akin to walking a slack line extended over a chasm filled with molten lava. An exercise as perilous to me as it would be to you. A risk I'm unwilling to take. I beg you, let's do it my way. It will be both quicker and easier.
Kovinaris spent half his life proving his theory. Wild guess. Making a dose of resonance won't be easy.
You guessed correctly. In addition to Dettlaff's tissue, we shall need a powerful occipital lobe stimulant. Effectively a poison, to make one susceptible to visions.
Well, got a few ingredients to choose from. Unfortunately, all are pretty rare. There's Mamoon glands, but closest ones I know of are in Vizima. A spotted white saliva would also serve, but they were cold to extinction over a century ago. Could go with a kobold's eyes, but the creatures are sentient. Rather not gouge one's eyes out.
Given that we lack the time to sleuth this out ourselves, permit me to summon some help.
What was that?
A raven? Rather a common sight at this latitude. Very intelligent fowl. I asked him to look for the creatures you mentioned. Him and his brethren. Perhaps they'll find one in the area, and I would hazard that a flock of ravens will spy any said creature faster than a solitary witcher would. With all due respect to your skills, my friend. It will take them some time, nonetheless, so perhaps you'd care for a snifter of mandrake.
Rarely say no to a snifter.
Sadly, this is but a weak infusion rather than a proper distillate.
Even better. I remember your mandrake hooch. Made people say things they'd have rather kept to themselves.
Now, what could Geralt of Rivia prefer to keep to himself?
So, think you've set a nice little trap for me? Sorry. Want to get me to confess? Gonna have to try harder.
I love a challenge. In that case, my ears are cocked. What must I do?
How about you get the ball rolling? Reveal one of your secrets. Vampires, intriguing creatures, must lead fascinating lives.
Anything in particular interest you?
Got a new life, new body. That give you a new start? Blank slate?
Starting all anew is a very broad concept. What exactly do you mean?
Your blood addiction, say. Wondering if your body's the same, if it still remembers. Maybe if you drank now, you wouldn't get hooked.
All addictions are a form of slavery. Re-addiction's not a risk I'm willing to take, just to test a hypothesis about corporeal regeneration and whether propensities carry over.
Fair enough. Curiosity, that's all. Sorry.
Not to worry, Geralt. Curiosity's a natural reaction under the circumstances, apart from which I've always valued that trait in you.
Always fascinated me the way vampires can regenerate. A hand growing back is one thing, but Detloff recreating you out of a wet smear? Something else entirely.
A difficult and laborious process, but one that's possible. As my presence proves. But I've heard you too had quite the adventure. They say you lost your memory.
For a bit, but Triss helped me get it back. Actually pretty damn lucky I only had amnesia.
Yes, you humans are rather buggered in those terms. To strip you of life is, well, it's just plain easy. I've always pitied you in that regard. We vampires are much harder nuts to crack. If a member of another race kills one of us, we can be reborn with a living higher vampire's help. However, if one of our own strikes the deadly blow, death is permanent. There can be no rebirth. One of the chief reasons why vampires long ago swore never to fight one another.
Gotta ask you the big question. One everyone wonders about. What happens after death?
You wish me to tell you if the human belief in the gods is well-founded? Well, that I do not know. We vampires differ exceedingly from you humans. Our matter, that of which we are composed, can exist without form. We require neither a heart, nor a brain, nor air to breathe.
But were you dead?
As humans understand death, yes.
Feel anything? Understand anything?
It's rather hard to explain. I felt something very unsettling. Something I cannot even name, for I did no reasoning. Only after rebirth did I begin to understand that what I had felt was cold and unimaginable fear. If not for Detlef, I might have drowned in an eternity of icy terror.
Can't have been alive then. Sheesh, experience like that must be vicious.
Indeed, it's hard to compare to anything I know. Yet you are aware we don't see death as you do. The way you cling to life, we find it entirely peculiar. You are mortals, ergo it's a foregone conclusion. You will die. It's but a question of time. Thus, I often find myself wondering why you try so very hard. To die at 20 years, 40, even 100, what's the difference? They're all but the blink of an eye.
Depends on your point of view. Man who's got 1,000,000 crowns to spend can't possibly understand one who's only got 20.
Very true. One's outlook can indeed change much.
Curious what you did after you were reborn.
As I'm sure you can surmise, at first I was thoroughly absorbed with recovering. As it is, I've still not recovered completely. Yet I was so weak the first year that I could not stand or move on my own. Detlef bore my weakness bravely, showed great patience. If not for him, I wouldn't be here, and I'd have regenerated far slower. Once I could at last stand unassisted, I set off for Bruges, for my one-time home of Dillingen. There I led the peaceful life of a rural healer and surgeon, enjoying my neighbours' respect and, in fact, constituting the exact opposite of the monstrous vampire the populace imagines.
Bruges, you say? Rebirth make you sentimental?
Perhaps a dash. But what of you? Where have you been? Ever find your Cirilla?
Back then, yeah. But we parted again soon after. And when the time was ripe, she came back, defeated the Wild Hunt together.
Ooh. Seems I certainly missed quite a bit while I was absent.
True enough. But it's a conversation we'll have another time. Need to know more about you now. All right, give you one question. What do you want to know?
One question to ask one as fascinating as you, Geralt. Cruel parsimony, I'd say. But I shall do my best to make it count. If you were to die and be reborn as I was, in your new life, would you choose to be a witcher?
That's what interests you most? Whether I'd like to be a witcher again?
Many things interest me, but we've not much time left. Please answer.
Never chose to be a witcher. Fate chose for me. Had it been my choice, I'd have picked a different profession. A profession where I wouldn't have to risk my life every minute of every day. Maybe even one that had earned me some respect.
Thank you for being honest. Honesty is an attribute of the truly brave, and thus a privilege of the very few.
Still no sign of your winged friend. Sure it understood what you wanted?
Dead certain. Let's wait a bit longer. It'll return soon, don't doubt that for a moment.
Ever vigilant, even in his sleep. Quite vampire-like, in fact. Are you absolutely certain they don't administer a few of our genes during the trial of the grasses?
Far as I know, none. Now what you got for me?
You were right. No kobolds or mamoons for miles around.
Knew it.
Allow me to finish. You see, there's this spotted white. It haunts an abandoned residence in the Caraberta woods.
Impossible. My brethren hunted down every last spotted white before I was born.
Then it seems you must revise your knowledge of spotted whites. For somehow this one managed to survive your brethren's onslaught. It seems I know this home it haunts. Recall a tale about it. Locals believe the place cursed. Perhaps that's how the white survived entirely unmolested.
Know anything else about this curse?
I don't recall much in particular. Really don't attach much importance to such things. It was mentioned to me as an anecdote, no more.
Come on, search your memory. Something, anything could be important.
I believe it had a relation to hunger, or, perhaps greed, rapacity. Someone was punished for something...
Textbook definition of a curse, pretty much.
Sorry, Geralt. I try not to clutter my mind with the details of every far-fetched tale I happen to hear. What are your thoughts?
A specimen of a species thought long extinct, and a curse in one place. That a coincidence, or are they related?
Ah, professional curiosity. Personally, I've nothing against you delving into this dilemma, but please remember we need the White's saliva. Nothing beyond that.
Whites rarely appear in the woods, even less likely to find them in abandoned human homes. They inhabit remote wildernesses, old abandoned cemeteries.
What's your point?
This might not be a spotted white after all. Your little helper might have made a mistake.
I sincerely doubt it. Ravens are devilishly intelligent creatures, and they've highly developed observational skills.
What exactly did they observe?
The area around the estate. It's covered in... spoons.
Spoons?
Spare me the skeptical smile. I'm but the bearer of this news. Or perhaps this spotted white is a hoarder. Or the spoons are somehow related to the curse.
Let's do this. Start making your decoction while I go get some saliva from that white. Uses it in its brews.
Do you imagine the white will simply sell you some?
Worst case scenario, I'll bring you its salivary glands. They ought to do as well.
For a moment there, I imagined you asking the white to spit into a vial. Quite amusing as a thought, but the salivary glands will do fine indeed.
So, see you later.
Yes, till later. I shall start by perusing some tomes.
Tomes? Thought you were gonna make this decoction.
We require one last ingredient. Alas, obtaining it could prove a trifle toilsome. Thus, I hope to identify a suitable alternative.
All right. Good luck.
And to you, my friend.
Bandages.
What's that about? Go, go! Our guests. Never a good omen. Spoons are beating out some kind of rhythm, a message, trying to tell me something. None shall sit and dine with you at your table. No spoon you have shall sate you. Never again shall you wish to spy your reflection in the mirror. Sounds like a curse, all right. Somebody's clearly obsessed. Regis mentioned the place might be cursed. Can't be a coincidence. Need to look around. What a pigsty. Need to search it thoroughly. Find a way to collect some white saliva. No spoon you have shall sate you. Whatever lives here treated that literally. Still searching for the right spoon. Actually does seem like a white's lair. Bit atypical, but still. Cauldron should be somewhere around here. Thousands of them here. White's been a collector for years. Cauldron I was looking for. White's not particularly tidy. Table's set. White, who lives here, is getting ready for some sort of feast. Cauldron's empty, unfortunately. Regis needs some brew. Afraid he won't get that. No choice but to hide and wait for the saliva glands and their bearer. Need a spot that'll let me observe the cauldron. Damn it. Gotta catch it. cauldron's empty, unfortunately. We just need some brew. Afraid he won't get that. No choice but to hide and wait for the saliva glands and their bearer. Need a spot that'll let me observe the cauldron. White's obsessed. A real collector. Thoroughbred. Spoon. Pretty ordinary. Maybe a little old.